Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Wes Lipschultz. I'm going to be leading today's session on the Master of Data Science at the University of Pittsburgh. I'm just going to give a moment for everyone to fill into the virtual room and take their virtual seats as we go through this presentation. I see the numbers are still climbing, so I'll give it a moment or two before we actually get started. You should be seeing my screen at the moment. It's basically saying Master of Data Science, your path to a data science career with performance-based admission, with today's date and the time. So we're here from noon to 1. Let me just double check and see if our participant list has stabled out a little bit. So in the interest of time, to respect your lunch hour, if you happen to be in Eastern time, and to respect whatever time you're at, wherever you are in the world right now, I'll get started. Again, my name is Wes Lipschultz. I'm going to be your tour guide through the introduction to the MDS today. My role at Pitt and in the School of Computing and Information is as a Senior Director of Student and Academic Affairs. In the context of the Master of Data Science, I am the Student Success Lead. We have a team, though, of folks in there, and I'm just sort of an administrator in that role. And I'm housed in the School of Computing and Information at Pitt, which is the same school that houses the MDS. I'm old. I have 29 years in higher education. I've dealt with advising, recruitment, student success, experiential learning admissions, and more. And my graduate background is in social psychology and instructional systems. I'm married to a wonderful woman, Christine Lally, and I'm the father of Claire, a wonderful daughter, and wonderful dog Rosie. And I'm very much into music and outdoor activities, hiking, convertibling, if that's a word, and biking. So that's me. And the other face of student success is Maria De Pastino. And she's here with us now. You can probably see her screen if she wants to give a little hi. She is our student success specialist. She is the boots on the ground person that's helped many, many students in our MDS program. She's been in higher ed for 6 years, focusing on student success, admissions, enrollment, advising, and more. She has her MED from California University of PA. Here she is. That's good. She's spotlighting, and a background in psychology and special ed. Maybe I should let you introduce yourself a little bit too. So now that you're spotlit, I'll shut up for a minute. You can say a couple more words about yourself if that's okay, and then I'll jump back.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Wes, for the introduction. As Wes said, I am the student success specialist for this program. So once you kind of get into the program, you will be able to work with me primarily to kind of discuss program questions and course planning. Kind of to get in, I also provided some personal information about myself. My husband, Nick, and I are parents to our 5-year-old dog, Capone, as you see in the picture. And during my free time, I enjoy reading, traveling, and spending time with my family. So thank you very much. And I'm looking forward to working with you all if you are planning to enroll in the course or decide to enroll in a future term.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we are very lucky to have Maria as part of our team. She is really fantastic and works with students and gives 180% in how she helps our students. So we're some of the people behind the student-facing side of this degree. But enough about us. Let's get a little bit about you now. We just want to give you a sense of the cohort and some of the people interested in this program. So there's going to be a survey that's going to pop up. When was the last time that you actually were in a classroom, either in person or virtually? We'll give you a minute to answer that, and then we'll post the results for everyone to see. So you could be a recent grad, you could be out for a while, having worked for a bit, you could be a career changer, or you could be somebody who's been in a career for decades and maybe just is taking this out of interest and hasn't been in a classroom for a long time. So we're curious to see who we've got amongst us here. There are 90 of you, and well, actually minus a few administrators here, but so let's say there's 80 of you. Okay. All right, so we'll give it a minute to fill out the poll, and then we'll share the results and talk them over for a minute. Oh, I think they're coming. Okay. See, now this is great because I feel like we've done a lot of these webinars. We're into, if you were to join in the next available semester, which would be the summer, you would be am I counting correctly, our 4th cohort, actually. And honestly, this is pretty much par for the course. We have a bunch of people that have just left, let's say their undergrad or another degree. Some people that have been out for a few years and might still work and are like looking to, upskill or something like that. Others who might be a total career changer, and others who have been in the workforce for decades and just want to up their learning. And it looks like it's not quite an even split. The bigger group today would be the ones who have been out 4 to 10 years. But the point is that all walks of life are in this program. And that's kind of all the cohorts in the past have sort of shown that to be true as well. Now, let's learn a little bit more. What are you hoping to learn here today? We've got a whole presentation, and we just want to make sure that we're covering all the things that of interest to you and that we're focusing on. So you want to learn about the field? Do you want to learn about career options, time commitment, tuition cost, the application admission requirements and process, or other things? And again, we'll have time ideally for Q&A at the end here. So let's get a sense of why you're here, what you're curious about. What do you want to learn in today's session about our MDS? Ooh, and now we're at 95. We were at 90 a minute ago, so we're almost approaching 100. So to the latecomers, welcome. I'm Wes Lipschultz. I'll be your tour guide through this session today. Okay, so it seems like most people aren't as curious about application admission requirements, which is good because it's very easy. I'll get to that. But you're wondering about how much does this cost? How much of a time commitment is it? What is the career? What's the field? We're going to cover all of those things in today's session. Okay, so specifically, here's sort of how it's going to flow. We'll introduce you to the MDS program, what it is. Then we'll talk about the steps to enroll. What is what we call the PBA? That's the performance-based admission class. That is essentially your application, is taking the first required class of the program. And then how long does it take and how much does it cost? And then we'll also introduce you to a real live faculty instructor in the program, Alina Sherbinin. She'll talk to you a little bit about the course she's teaching now, data-centric computing. And then we'll open the floor up to questions and answers. So that's what we're going to get to. So with that in mind, the Master of Data Science was actually designed from the start to meet the needs of adult learners and working professionals who want to upskill and reskill. So in other words, people who are interested in this tech area, thinking of like data science and things like that, very interested in that. Excuse me one second. There's no STEM background that's required. All right, so you don't have to have any background in computing or math or anything like that. You need to have an undergrad degree, but that's part of the upskill process. Is we don't want you to have to feel like you have to have a tech background to do this. We want to bring people up to speed who don't have a tech background so they can upskill if they want. But people who do have a tech background are welcome too. And I'll talk a little bit about the dynamics of that difference if you start the program. It's also flexible. It's 100% online and asynchronous. It's self-paced with a very important caveat that I want to share now. It's self-paced to the extent that it's not like you have to be in a specific classroom online from like 10 to 11 on a Tuesday. It's like in a given week, doesn't matter if it's 1 in the morning on a Monday or 3 p.m. on a Saturday that you're doing this. You basically are able to do this at your own pace, but it still follows the schedule of a course on campus in Pitt. So we have 15-week semesters typically. So you'll have weekly work that you'll have to pace through, but within that week, it's going to be at your own pace. And then the faculty who are teaching this are the same who teach on campus. That's our senior faculty, our professors of practice. We have folks in industry. So we're a professional school. So our faculty are seasoned researchers. They're folks who love and have a passion for teaching and were out in industry for a while and came back to teach. And then ones who are actually currently still in industry teaching as well. So they're really very qualified, the best of who we have who are teaching these classes. All right, so now let's ask you a couple more questions. And I promise, I think after a couple more, we'll be done. We're talking to you about upskilling in this degree where you don't have to have a STEM background. What's your background? What have you been working on? Where are you at right now? Are you in human services, business? Are you already in STEM? Are you taking care of other sort of family responsibilities or anything else? And we just want to get a sense of who you are. And again, when we see the poll results, I can share with you. Hopefully we're evidencing that the students who come through the MDS program, our first 3 cohorts, really are from all walks of life, and that's totally okay. So let's see in a minute where, oh, now we're up to 102 folks. So the 102 folks who are here, let's see where they're all from, like what's their backgrounds. So I'll give it a minute or two more, and then we'll share the results again. Okay, so we have people in human services, in business, some that are, caretaking, parenting, that kind of stuff, and some in other fields. And actually today we have a larger percentage of folks who are already in STEM. All right, so all of these folks, this is kind of a pattern. I think I haven't looked at the exact numbers, but I've seen a fairly diverse split of folks where people are coming from, both STEM, non-STEM, business, human services, all over the place. This is common. So if you're in the next cohort coming in the summer, regardless of your background, you'd be welcome and it'd be okay. And you find yourself amongst others who hopefully share sort of similar backgrounds as you. And then another thing, last but not least, why are you planning to pursue this degree? Okay, is it to upskill? Is it intellectual curiosity? What are some of the reasons? Are you, I mean, in some cases, having a master's, even if you want to stay in your same job, can help with your pay scale. Are you looking for a promotion? Is it one of those things where your employer, pays, has an education benefit, so you can get this paid for? Whatever the reason, again, there might be more than one reason, but in this case, if you just want to pick your top reason or just a top reason, that would be good, just to let us know, again, who you are and why you're interested in this. And we're currently at 101, holding steady for now. So let's see where the 101 of you break down in terms of why you're planning to pursue this degree. And again, all of these answers are okay. Okay, so a lot of you're increasing the earning potential, joining a new industry, exploring, some are exploring a personal interest. Not many of you are saying your employer will support it, which is good news. When I get to the cost of this is a good thing. One of the reasons we have the program set up the way we do. A couple of you looking at promotion and some for other reasons as well. Okay, so that's okay. We typically have a spread across all of these reasons, so that's fine. All right. So there's this master's. It's for upskilling. You don't have to have a tech background, but tech backgrounds are welcome, and this is beneficial as well. But what is it? What's it look like? If you commit to this and want to do it, it is 10 courses in total. Each of the courses are 3 credits. And so it's a total of 30 credits. And it includes what we call a capstone, basically, which is a class sort of the end in your last semester where you're reflecting on what you've learned, using case studies, that kind of thing, to evidence the skills and knowledge that you've learned across all of the other classes. No STEM background is required. No undergrad STEM degree, that is. So you do need an undergrad degree in something, in anything, a 4-year accredited bachelor's degree. And in terms of the time to completion, it's 20 to 36 months. And the reason I say this is that technically you could take this as a full-time student, and at the grad level, full-time is 3 to 5 classes. But really, we don't necessarily recommend that. That's a lot online. I mean, you can if you want, you can handle it. But it's really built for adults who are either working or have other responsibilities or whatever, so that this is sort of one part of the many responsibilities that you have in your lives, meaning it's optimized to be paced at 1 to 2 classes per term. And so that's where the time to completion estimates come in at 20 to 36 months. It's based on, part-time study for that amount of time. So basically, within roughly a little under 2 years to 3 years is what you're looking at to be able to do this. It's not bad, especially if you're doing this part-time while you're doing other things. But if you're not doing other things and you want to focus on it, it could be quicker if you need it to be. One other thing I want to say about the no STEM background required and the undergrad STEM degree, like if you have it or you don't, the main difference is, think of it this way. There are, to draw a parallel, there are people that went to med school that had no science background, that had maybe just some basic knowledge of biochem, math, and whatever. And then there are people who were like science majors who went to med school, and both have been admitted. But I think what you find in the case of med school is somebody who's a bio major has background knowledge that will make it easier for them to get up to speed and move forward. People that didn't have that science background, if they're going on to med school, basically would have a lot more studying to do to sort of get that knowledge base, that initial learning curve. And I think the same is true here. So I need to be clear, in that first class that you would take with us, and we'll get into that a little bit more in a minute, we teach you from scratch what you need to know. for the degree, but the learning curve will be a little bit more steep. If you don't have a STEM background, you're probably going to have to spend some more time like learning about programming and what it means and how that works and some of the basics that people who, let's say, have a STEM background might already have more background in. So it's just a little bit more of a learning curve and more time spent initially. But the point is that you don't have to have that background to be able to do this. But it all starts, in any case, it all starts with what we call the performance-based admission course. So basically, I already said there were 10 classes, right? This for 30 credits that make up the degree. The very first class that you need is a class that you take without submitting an application or anything like that. It's your application is taking the class, learning the material, and completing it successfully with a B or better. And while that's going on, we'll verify that you have an undergrad degree in the appropriate background. And then you move on. So you would take that, you wouldn't be admitted to the program directly. You take it as what's called a non-degree student. As long as you do well in it, you'd have to pay tuition for the one class too. Then you're admitted to the program. Let me get a little bit more into detail on that. So the first class, the one we call the PBA, the performance-based admission class, its title is data-centric computing. And it's kind of like a sampler platter walkthrough of some of the basics of what it means to be in data science and what some of the backgrounds are, and the fact that you need to know Python programming and understand a little statistics and data analysis and all those kinds of things. That is in that class. And so what do you do if you don't apply? There's like a quick form that takes you like 5 minutes to fill out, and that's how you basically register for and enroll in the class. You submit this simple form, then you have to spend all your time once the class starts studying, doing the work, and getting a B or better. And here's the nice thing: while that's going on, the whole point of this for us is to remove barriers for you to be able to do this. We want this to be as easy as possible logistically for you to do. But it's a quality degree. So you're still going to have to put in long hours of study, and there's a lot of stuff to learn. This is a substantive, accredited master's degree. So it's a lot of work. But the whole point is it's not a lot of work on the logistical end of like the paperwork, so to speak. All of your time should be focused on learning. That's how we have it set up. That all of your consciousness, worry, all that stuff is focused on learning the material in the first class. Even so much so that in most cases, we don't really have you like contact your prior institution, send in a transcript, and we open it and look at it and process it and check your grades and all that. What we try to do, if you have a degree from the US from an accredited institution, we go through a clearinghouse to automatically verify that you have an undergrad, a 4-year undergrad degree. So in most of the cases, you won't even have to do anything with the transcript verification. We'll do that for you. That being said, if you're an international student, we can't go through the clearinghouse to do that. So in that case, what you'd have to do is show us and demonstrate to us that you basically have the equivalent of a US 4-year accredited undergrad bachelor's degree. And the way you do that is by submitting what's called an evaluation of your transcript for equivalency. And it's through, there's an organization called NACIS, and you just find a NACIS approved evaluation service. You typically pay a fee for that. You just do a degree evaluation. You don't need to do course by course evaluation, just a basic degree. Is this degree that you have from this other country equivalent to a 4-year US bachelor's? And that's what you do. And then you gain eligibility to get into the MDS program. So once we know that you have a degree or its equivalent, a prior degree, and once you get a B or better in data-centric computing, you're then automatically admitted into the MDS program. And then in the next semester and beyond, you can take further coursework until you finish your degree. One other thing, if you're an international student who's in an English-speaking, from an English-speaking country, or who got your degree in at an institution in an English country that has English as an official language, your proficiency in English is proved. But if you're an international student who doesn't have that background in English and isn't from an English-speaking country or took their degree from an English-speaking country, then you'd have to submit English proficiency scores in terms of TOEFL or IELTS or Duolingo. So here's how it works. Basically, 10 classes. You start with data-centric computing, which is the PBA class. Upon successful completion of that actual class, again, you're taking it for credit, you're paying tuition for it, and as long as you're academically qualified, you get that B or better, then you go on and take the other 9 classes, which in your last term will include the capstone, which is basically like a reflection dealing with case studies proving your knowledge from the other coursework that you've taken. That's kind of the flow of the degree. Okay, well, that's great. 10 classes. What are they? What are you actually learning? What are you doing? So we already talked about the data-centric computing class, which is essentially introducing you to, here are the elements of a Python programming, statistics, data-centric computing, data structures, all of the things that go into the basics of data science. Then after that class, you break down into some of the core things that are required. Like you need to understand some basics about mathematics and statistical analysis. You need to understand how to structure data, how to store it, how to query it, how to save it, what to keep, what to throw out over the life cycle of data management. You also have to do some predictive modeling because after all, if you're a data scientist, you're going to need to make sense of data, and whoever your employer is, like, look at trends and predictions for the future with that. Also, you're going to have to present data to people, so you have the art of data visualization. And there's, what is it that Stephen Wright said, 43.2% of statistics are made up on the spot. He's a comedian. So the idea is responsible data science is, what are you doing with this great power that you've been given? Make sure that you're understanding and using data analysis ethically in an appropriate way. All of that's part of the core. And then you select 3 out of 4 elective courses. You could do some more really deep statistical analysis with applied Bayesian data analysis. You could do more deep learning kinds of things, or you could do some cloud computing, or looking at text as data, right? So extracting raw text and make sense of it in a way that you can analyze is an art and a science in and of itself. And then last but not least is the capstone, which, as I said, is like you'd be given case studies, and you have to show that all of the knowledge that you've learned in those other 9 classes is then applied in sort of real world case studies. So that's how that would work. Okay. Now, here's the other part. Affordability, accessibility, all of that. So remember those that said, well, most of you did not report like educational benefits who are here today. Of the 100 of you or 99 who are still here, the entire degree is $15,000, meaning it's $500 per credit or $1,500 a class. That is exponentially less than our on-campus degrees and our on-campus tuition. The entire degree is $15,000. Plus, I think there are some administrative fees that currently are like $175 or something like that a semester. It's like your tech fee and administrative fees and stuff like that. So depending on how many, semesters you take, there's a little bit more of a cost. But again, those administrative fees are very small in comparison. So the bulk of it is $15,000 for the entire thing, plus those administrative fees per semester. And that's typically for those of you who are lucky enough to have educational benefits through your company or your employer. This should typically fit within whatever those benefits are, and you should be able to pay for much, if not all of it, through that if you have those benefits. And if you don't, we do have payment plans available depending on in a given term. For even if you take one class at $1,500 a class, you can split that into payments. I think our payment office in some cases can do either 3 different equal payments or even up to 6 equal payments, so you can spread it out over time. And then financial aid is available, again, with the caveat, it's not through Pitt in this case. It's if you're a U.S. citizen, there's federal aid, right? So you can usually submit a FAFSA and see what kind of aid you can get in terms of loans or grants or anything like that from the federal government. Caveat there too, in your first term when you're taking the PBA, you're not admitted to the degree yet, and you're only taking 1 class, you wouldn't be eligible for aid while you're taking that performance-based admission class. But if you complete it successfully and you get in and you're admitted into the degree, if you choose to take 2 classes or more, then your eligibility for FAFSA kicks in, because you need to be what's called half-time or part-time or whatever. It's like 4.5 credits or more to be eligible for FAFSA. And the only way you do that is if you take 6 credits at a time. So financial aid is important to you. You need to plan on taking 2 classes at a time to have that kick in if you're a U.S. citizen. Okay, so that's some of the background, but really your first introduction to this degree and your admission process would be taking data-centric computing. And with that in mind, I wanted to turn the floor over to the person who is instructing our data-centric computing class this term, Olena Sherbinin. She can tell you a little bit more about the class and expectations and things like that. And during the Q&A, she can answer questions as well. So I'm going to be quiet for a bit and turn the floor over to her so she can introduce herself and talk to you a little bit more about that data-centric computing.
Hey, hello everyone. Welcome. So I'm glad you were able to join our webinar. So it's always popular. And today I will gonna be talking to you about structure of the first course you're gonna take that called CMP INF 2100 Data-Centric Computing. So as Wes said, thank you for introduction. My name is Alina Sherbinin, and I work as a data architect for the School of Computing and Information. That's actually the school you enroll into, and you will be a student in our school. So what I usually do, I handle and analyze various data across the university and across the school. So my role in a school involves in designing systems to manage and organize this data. And this experience actually allows me to bring practical and real-world examples into classroom and to demonstrate how data is used to solve important institutional problems. We're not just going to be focusing on the data, educational data, but still, my experience will be very valuable to you can see how the data analytics work in real life. So, and this course is, if you think about it, it's kind of split on 3 parts. First part of the course designated to learn how to program in Python. The second part is about computational modeling. And the third part, it's like a shorter introduction to predictive analytics. So basically there is modules. They correspond to the learning weeks. And the first 5 of them is programming for data analytics. So in those first 5 modules, you will learn the basics of Python programming, but with focusing on how to analyze and manipulate data. Why Python was selected for this course? Python is a programming language, quite modern, and it's widely used in data science. It has extensive libraries, and it's easy to learn for beginners. It's actually very close to the way how English language works in syntax, while it's so powerful for advanced data analytics. So again, that's a very great, if you never programmed before, the Python is a great programming language to start. So in those 5 first modules, you will be learning how to use Python for data analysis. It's a will be focused application of Python. And we will begin learn about different data types. It's like integers, floats, strings, dictionaries, sets, and how to use functions, how to generate random numbers, and how to use different modules. For example, like pandas, it's a very powerful library for data analysis. And we will be using a Jupyter notebook in this course because it's interactive environment that allow you to write code and see output immediately. Basically, it's like very interactive. You can run the code as you write it. Okay. So then comes the second part of the class that's about exploratory data analysis. It will be covered in the module 6 and 8. And here in this part, we're going to shift our focus to exploring and visualizing data. You will learn how to clean, transform, and explore raw data to uncover patterns and insights. So you will explore data visually. We will be creating plots and charts, scatter plots, trends plots, correlation plots, and some type of plots. And you will learn how to perform k-mean clustering analysis. And those very, very important part of this course. And then the last part will be Introduction to Predictive Modeling. This is a final part of our course, and in this part you will learn, again, not in depth, but it's a great introduction, how to split sets into training and testing sets. You will build models using technique like linear regression and classification. And in this model also, key statistical concepts will be introduced, and we will apply them to real data sets. It's like mean, median, standard deviation, and correlation. So they help you to better understand distributions and model evaluation principles. So that's about what you're going to learn in this course. But is there going to be assignments? Yes. So after each module, it will be graded quiz and homework, and sometimes only quiz or only homework. So quiz is usually multiple choice, where you read a question and select the right answer. Or the quizzes can have a question that will kind of force you to open your Jupyter notebook and write Python code to be able to answer those questions. Homeworks are labs that design within Coursera environment. So that those more like hands-on experience where you write the code, but in a very guided form and fashion. Then the final project in this course. We don't have a final exam. Let me talk about the final project and I will go back to midterm, but we will have midterm exam. So the final project also split on two parts. And part one will be introduced after we will talk about exploratory data analysis. And this part is solely focused on analyzing given to you data set and explore data. To explore all the variables in this data set and try to find some correlations between those variables. And then final project that you will focus all your energy in the last 2 weeks of the course includes clustering analysis to identify patterns and relationships in data. Think of a part two like it's built on a part one. So first you explore the data set, and then you will apply techniques you learn in the last 3 modules of this class to identify patterns and relationship in data on the same data set. And basically consider it as your final exam. It will be midterm exam. That's actual exam. It's typically takes about 2 to 3 hours, depending how proficient you are with the programming to complete. And this midterm is very structured. It has a template in it, and the questions that you have to answer, kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it will be 3 data sets for you to use to complete the midterm. They will be given when you log in, so to open the midterm. So I mentioned pandas. It's like a core Python library for data manipulation and analysis. But also we're gonna dive in and use other libraries like NumPy. For example, this library is essential for numerical computations and handling arrays. Then the matplotlib and Seaborn will be introduced because those are powerful libraries for data visualization. We will use them to create plots and charts that help you uncover patterns, because people usually see data way better when they look at plots and charts. Stats models, that's a library that's used for statistical modeling, and it's providing functions for estimate and interpret models, particularly for regressional analysis. And that's what we mostly going to be focusing in this course, in linear regressional analysis. And at the end of the course, the scikit-learn library will be introduced. That's a key library for machine learning. And it's used for building and evaluating predictive models, including classification, regression, and clustering. And depending what model you're going to select for your final project, classification or regression, so you will use this library to analyze the data. So, and that's basically overview of what you can expect through the course. And I'm looking forward to see you apply those skills that you're gonna learn in the real world. So that's basically it. I hope to see you this summer. Wes, floor goes back to you.
Thanks, Alina. I really appreciate that. And so remember how I said before, it's like you don't have to have the background knowledge. We'll teach you from scratch. So what Alina has shared is here is the structure of what you would learn to teach to learn this from scratch. And I was trying to think of a way to explain the plan behind this. I really think this is innovative the way we have this program set up, because just so you know, I already took a peek while she was talking at some of the Q&A questions, and I'll answer them more explicitly. But people often ask, is this a Pitt degree? Is this a real degree? I'm like, oh no, it's a master's. It's an accredited master's. You're going to work hard and you're going to learn a lot in this. And when you graduate and you get your diploma, it doesn't make a distinction. It doesn't say online. It doesn't say Coursera. Coursera is our partner. That's the venue through which you learn, but it is a Pitt degree with a Pitt diploma. It doesn't say anything about on campus or online. It will be a Master of Data Science from the University of Pittsburgh. But what's hard to wrestle with is like getting started with this, because we have such, as you saw before, such varied backgrounds. People that maybe have an undergrad degree, let's say in music theory or English or political science, who never programmed in their lives, to people who are computer science, graduates who are thinking of doing this. And the best metaphor I can think of is like, think of it this way, like for me, I love driving, right? So I've driven motorcycles, I've driven exotic sports cars, sedans, old cars, new ones, big trucks, all that kind of stuff. But if I'm going to drive an 18-wheeler, I'd need to learn how to do that. And so for you, it's like, think of it this way. For those of you who don't have any background in STEM, we would like teach you to drive and then drive an 18-wheeler from scratch. For those of you who have a background in STEM, it's like you're already maybe seasoned drivers, but teaching you to drive an 18-wheeler, like a big tractor trailer truck, is something different. So some of it will feel like review, some of it might be easy, but there'd be a totally new amount of stuff for you. So it's going to be incredibly varied based on your background in terms of how intense this is for you. But in all cases, it gets you there from start to finish. And one of the other things is, in a way, think of it like this PBA class, almost like your learner's permit. It's like it's the walk through the space of what data science is, and that's what you do. And even beyond that, for those of you who don't have a STEM background, there's an orientation that you would have. If, let's say, you start in the summer, we're going to open up the doors to the orientation probably sometime in March. And what would happen then is we've got a lot of free classes on Coursera that aren't for credit that you could take to try your hand at this beforehand, learning a little bit about data, learning a little bit about programming. So you really have a chance to exercise this. And really, that's why there's no admission for this. It's really just getting you familiar with the content to see if you like it, if you're good at it, if you can handle it. And if you can, then this program is for you. And it's a relatively low investment of time. I mean, it's a lot of work to learn something legitimately. And this is legitimate stuff that you're going to learn deeply. But it's like, it's not a large investment of time or money in the overall scheme of things to get you started in this, to see if this really is what you want to do. And I think that's what's so exciting and innovative about this. Okay. And it's not like your learning is all on your own. I mean, obviously, like we said, there's instructors, but it's just like on our on-campus students, you're going to have faculty who teach this. They're going to have office hours. There are teaching assistants who we call course facilitators. And then you already met Maria and I. We're your academic support and student services behind the scenes. You can also get career resources help should you need it, with like resume drafting and interview preparation, all those kinds of things. But one of the other things to wrap your mind around, if you're used to a classroom-based class where you're like in real time, you're listening to a faculty lecture, you're taking notes, and then you're doing things. If you think of it this way, each one of these classes, the content, which sometimes is videos, sometimes it's readings and all that, that is your lecture. That's the self-paced part. But then where the course facilitators, the TAs that is, and the instructor can help is engaging. If you have questions and answering those questions, I think it almost like elevates it. Rather than listening to somebody talk, you're getting that distilled excellent experience of our faculty who designed the courses and the videos and the materials that you learn. And then you've got the live instructor help to help coach you through what you need to know and making sure that you understand it. So online learning is a little different that way, but it's actually, I think, can elevate this to another level. Okay, so again, if you're really interested in this, I'm serious, I want to try it. Step one is to take that performance-based admission class, get a B or better in it. Then while that's happening, let's say you do that this summer, that's the next available semester. You sign up, you fill out this form that takes 5 minutes to complete. Then you'll be able to do orientation, do some background free coursework if you want to start to familiarize yourself with programming and databases and things like that over the coming months. And then in May, the summer term would start. You would take that class, and while you're taking it, we'd do the automated verification process for your transcript, or we would provide you with instructions if you're an international student for getting your credential evaluated for equivalency. And if you're an international student from a non-English speaking country or from a non-English speaking degree, you'd have to take the TOEFL or IELTS or Duolingo. All of those are available online. Some are less expensive than others. I'm not promoting one over the other, but you could shop around for prices. And if you're an international student who needs one of these tests, you'd need a minimum level of proficiency you'd need to demonstrate to do this. Either an 80 on the TOEFL, 6.5 on IELTS, or 110 on Duolingo. So that's it. That's how you join. And so enrolling for the summer, there's a link. Again, you'll see this if you go to the Coursera website or rsci.pitt.edu, you can find it. There's literally an Enroll Now button. You click on it. On the Coursera site, on our Pitt web page, you go to our master's degrees link that I have here. You choose apply, select master's, and then Master of Data Science and enroll in PBA. And when you click on it, it asks for some demographic information about you, where you got your degree, where your birthday is. And then that is literally how you sign up for the class. Then the next step would be to attend it online and pay for it, take it and complete it successfully. So you can think about this. This is not high pressure sales or anything like that. It's an opportunity. And you have basically until May 6th at 11:59 p.m. to decide if you want to do that this summer. And that's the deadline for when you submit the enrollment form to take the PBA this summer. And then classes actually start on May 7th. And they go for about 14 weeks, if I remember correctly. And while those 14 weeks, while you're learning, we'll be verifying your bachelor's degree. So you do the data-centric computing class in the summer, pass it with a B or better, and then you're literally automatically admitted in. You get an admission letter, and then you're triggered to like register for classes and start in the fall, which usually would start at like the end of August for your next round. So really, again, just to summarize again the takeaways. No admissions, like typical grad programs need letters of recommendation. You need a STEM background, SAT or GREs. None of that. You need to just spend 5 minutes signing up for the course, pay for the course, take it, get a B or better. Your bachelor's degree would be verified along the way during those 14 weeks that you're taking the class in the summer. And also, if you're an international student who needs to demonstrate English proficiency, you'd have to take that test and get the minimum score to demonstrate proficiency. That's it. $15,000 total for the degree. Payment plans are available through Pitt. If you're a U.S. citizen and after you complete the PBA successfully, you can take 2 or more classes and be eligible for federal aid. And then employment benefits apply. Like if your employer allows you to, study and they'll pay for tuition, we accept all of that. We have third-party payment mechanisms set up to do that. And again, at Pitt, we very much accept all of the tuition benefits for Pitt. That kicks in like it would for any other degree. And you have student services in the form of Maria and I. There's live faculty, office hours, teaching assistance and academic support, career services, all of that good stuff. And again, I need to emphasize that this is a Pitt degree. It's an accredited master's from Pitt. The faculty are who have the model. This is another thing to sort of briefly explain. The courses are designed by pretty much all of them that I can think of are tenured faculty. Our senior tenured faculty are the ones who built these classes based on their expertise. And so once the classes are built, and that means the content, what's included, how it's structured, the videos, the choices for the materials that you read and learn, that's all done by our most senior expert faculty. And then the people who basically teach it could be different than who designed it, but they're still our faculty. And there are, again, some of them are our senior faculty, some of them are our senior professors of practice, and some of them are folks who are industry. Like one of our classes is currently being taught by a cybersecurity engineer. And so these are people with expertise in the areas in which you're interested in that will guide you through the class. So they're built by experts and taught by experts for you to benefit from. All right, now I think we're in the question mode. So I'm going to jump on into, and I might turn the floor over to Alina depending on what the questions are. I'll answer what I can and then sort of ask her for help on some of the stuff that might be more course related. So I'm going to take them in the order in which they were posted, just so that I understand, like, as the Q&A was going on, I think there are some that were answered individually behind the scenes. And the folks who are working with us today have made judgments that there are some that they want us to answer publicly. And those are the ones that I'm answering right now. So I'll start with the first one that came in at like 12:06. It says, I'm curious about transferring credits from tech colleges. I will say it this way, because of the specificity of this degree and the price point, typically transferring is not possible. What you do is you take the classes that are in this program as part of this program, and transferring classes in is not typically something that happens. The only exception that I can think of with any regularity for that is that we have offered through our on-campus programs an applied data-driven methods certificate. It's a 12-credit certificate. Some folks might already be in that. Some people are in another master's program and taking that, or they're just taking that certificate. That certificate is kind of a subset of this MDS degree. And for people who complete that certificate, that entire thing, from what I understand, is basically applied directly to the MDS because it's the exact same classes and it's offered by Pitt. It was just in a different venue as part of a different degree. That's the one exception to transferring credits. Otherwise, just plan on taking all the classes that are in this program. I'm curious about which tools and systems we'll learn to use to analyze data. Will that be covered? That one I might want to bump over to Alina. Like, when you think of tools and systems to analyze data, what are the ones that you talk about or teach?
Okay, I'm back. So are you, if you're talking about the PBA course, we're going to be using this software that created by a company called Anaconda. The software calls Anaconda Navigator. So you will need to download the software to your computer, install it, carefully following instructions, because I will instruct it what modules you need to install and what versions of the modules you need to install. And then the main environment where we're going to do all the coding and for the homeworks and for some classwork that will shown by videos, we will be using Jupyter Notebook. Later in the course, the other software will be introduced, but I will not be speaking for other instructors about what exactly will be used later in the course.
Okay, the next question I think I'll answer, but I'd love Alina to chime in. So the question is, do you have any information on the rigor depth of the curriculum in comparison to other similar programs? This, I think, again, it's really hard to like get the point across to this, but I feel like a lot of people have a perception of online programs as, oh yeah, you watch a bunch of videos and get a certificate, and that's how you work it. It's like, no. From what I've seen, and to establish my credibility, Maria and I literally either every week or every other week meet with the instructors and the TAs of each class to review what's going on and what the questions are, what the problems are, and the instructional designers and what they're dealing with. So we get to see firsthand the level of depth of this. This is not just watching a video. Yes, there are videos in it, but you have to read a lot. You have to build data. You have to answer questions. You have to write code. You have to do all kinds of things. This is every bit as detailed as our on-campus master's programs. And again, some of the classes that are in our on-campus programs are the exact same ones that are in this MDS degree, except they're a lot cheaper in this context. So I mean, they're different masters that you would do, and they're not 100% overlapping. There's just a couple of sort of shared classes and whatever. So the level of rigor is very deep. I think that's another added value of this is not only do you not have to have a STEM background to do it, but when you do it, you are learning real deep knowledge that a data scientist can use in the field. Alina, is that a fair assessment? Did I miss anything, misrepresent anything?
Absolutely. As a graduate from the School of Computing and Information with master's degree in information science, I would say that you're gonna get the same education that you will be getting in classroom. That's why this program is pretty unique. And the PBA course that you start, that's your kind of gatekeeper for the entering data master in data science program. So it's very interesting, but it's a difficult course. So, and you will be learning a lot.
Yeah, and the other thing that's I think that's another angle to this question that I'll address is that many people, whether it's on campus or online, when they think of a master's, they think of that as like an academic thing that leads to a PhD or whatever. And yeah, I mean, you can take this if you're interested in a PhD later and that PhD has a prerequisite of a master's. This counts in that way, but there are different kinds of master's degrees that are out there, and I would term this one to be a professional master's. And honestly, most of the other masters that are on campus for us, like our Master of Library and Information Science, our Master of Science in Information Science, our Master of Telecommunications, they're also professional masters. All that means is that they are terminal degrees that are meant to prepare you for jobs in the job market. So they're deep in rigor, but it's applied practical knowledge. That's the intent behind these, this master's and a lot of our other masters. And then in the next question, it says, is this an accredited degree through the University of Pittsburgh? Again, yes, I'll say it again. It is absolutely an accredited degree. There's no distinction made between this on your transcript or anything else between this and the on-campus masters as well. Okay. Next one, let's see. Is AI's application in data analysis something that is featured in the curriculum anywhere? I might need Olina's help on this, but let me at least say, get a start to this. I think AI.
Can you read the question again, please?
Oh, is AI, artificial intelligence's application in data analysis something that is featured in the curriculum anywhere? Let me start with one thing, and then Olina can chime in if she wants. I feel like artificial intelligence is a field of study in our school. Like you can do that as part of some of the other master's programs to learn about it. But in terms of its practical application in, the classroom, I feel like that's evolving in real time. And I don't know that there's a program out there that has that really locked down because it's still in the process of evolving. I mean, I've seen it dealt with in, like, I have friends who are like in startup companies. I've seen it in the classroom. Coursera itself can utilize AI in some capacities. It's pervasive, but exactly as an area of study and expertise, I think it's still evolving. I don't know if you have some thoughts on that too, Olina, but again, I guess what I'm trying to say is, as an area of study, it's in some of our master's programs, but applying AI and data analysis, I don't know that it's like stabilized enough to be something that we can teach you. Here's how to be an expert in it yet. Or do you have a different take on that?
No, that's for sure. AI applications and data analysis is indeed becoming increasingly relevant. So, and while they might not be dedicated as a standalone topic in our curriculum, they are integrated into various courses. It's not, again, I'm teaching an entrance course to the program. It's not part of the PBA. But for example, topics like machine learning, predictive modeling, and automated data processing often incorporate AI-driven techniques. So I can't speak again about other courses, but I'm sure if you're interested in specific aspect of AI and data analysis, it will be it will be ways how you can explore it in depth.
Thanks, Olena. Next one is, does the PBA course have a reasonable grading curve? I'm not sure if I understand the in parentheses, and not 99% C or lower. I don't know that you've even applied a grading curve, have you, Olena?
No, there is no grading curve. And speaking of that, the assignments I mentioned, they will be graded, some of them graded by me and a team of instructors, and some of them auto-graded. And all the assignments in this course, that's why it makes it a little bit different from any asynchronous online course. They have deadlines. And actually, you miss deadline, some penalty applies, like in a typical graduate course. So there is no curve, and you must complete the course with B or better. Yes, to be eligible to enter Master of Data Science. I just forgot exact percentage. I apologize.
Yep. Thank you. Next one is, I'm currently in an IBM Data Science Professional Certificate program on Coursera, and I'd like to know if you award credit for certificates. Again, the only certificate that counts is it's a 4-credit applied data-driven method certificate that's part of our school that is literally the first 4 classes of the MDS. It's completely overlapping with the MDS. That's the only one that we award credit for. Any other certificate program that you might be in, it does not transfer in and replace anything. I mean, it might inform you and make the, as I had said before, the learning curve quicker, but it's not, we do not transfer in anything from the certificate, any other certificate programs. And then the next question is, I am finishing up a PhD over the next year. Can I apply for this program next summer? Yep. And you're happy to learn the knowledge now. It's fine for you to do that. We have admissions every term, so you can start in the summer or the fall or the spring in any year. So yep, when you're ready, just come back. That's totally fine. Are we able to participate in the graduation ceremony in person? Yes, actually, if it's physically possible for you to do and reasonably affordable and all that, you'll be invited to our school's graduation ceremony at the end of your study when you complete your degree. Now, what happens if I can't finish the whole 30-credit program? For example, if I've completed 15 credits, may I get proof of accomplishment? I'd say this in any other master's program, just like our on-campus programs. If somebody starts and doesn't finish it, the proof of accomplishment is you get a transcript. It's just like any other master's program. You could show in the transcript that you've completed 15 credits and what your grades are, and you could certainly incorporate that knowledge into your resume and your skill set. So it's not that it wouldn't be valuable, but it's not like you just automatically get some other kind of certificate or whatever for completing 15 credits. You'd have to complete the 30 to get a diploma. But along the way, every class that you successfully complete and pay for will go into your transcript, and you'll have that forever. What job opportunities do graduates of the program typically accept? Do employers have a preference of seeing a master's in data science compared to a master's in computer science? Boy, that's a good one. Let me take a stab at this one. From my experience at Pitt, there are some overlaps between a lot of our master's degrees. Our master in computer science, master of information science, and master of telecommunications. Some of those folks go on and get the same kinds of jobs, but some are maybe more uniquely suited to those particular degrees, and it might give you an edge. For example, in Master of Science in Telecommunications, you might be able to do some kind of analysis position, but they're really like a networking engineer, and that's the specialty that's different than the other masters. Similarly, the data science, if you're doing like data analysis or prediction or any kind of thing that involves having an employer gather, structure, make sense of, present, and predict with data, that's where you'd be focused on. So, I mean, computer science graduates can do that too, but they're different areas that those folks can go into also. So the job opportunities for graduates in MDS, again, we're a new program, so I don't have the data specifically on our MDS graduates yet, but they're geared towards data analysis consultants, data scientists, any kind of thing where you need to make sense of or analyze data in a, in a different setting, even like a data architect, like what Olena does full-time. Those are the kinds of things that you could do with this kind of degree. And in terms of its relevance to industry, this MDS degree was literally designed by gathering feedback from employers on what they need in terms of data analysis in various fields. So it's specifically designed to map to being a data scientist and data analysis. What colleges would we be a part of, and would we have access to university on-campus buildings and equipment? That's a tricky one. You are part of the School of Computing and Information at Pitt, which it's just like there's like the School of Business, the School of Education, School of Arts and Sciences. So you are part of a school, but remember how I said you have administrative fees? You have a tech fee that you'll pay, an administrative fee for being part of the program. So some of the on-campus stuff through the tech fee you'd have access to, like the software discounts and I think printing out stuff on campus if you have to be able to be on campus, but if you happen to be on campus. But there are other things like you're not paying a student activity fee and you're not paying a transportation fee. So you wouldn't get to ride the buses for free and you wouldn't be able to use like the gyms on campus or anything like that because you're not an on-campus student, so you're not charged those fees. And those are hundreds of dollars extra too, but you're not being charged those because you're not on campus. So anything tech related you could utilize, I believe, on campus, but anything like facilities wise in terms of gyms or the buses, you could not use. But yeah, you can use the buildings on campus. I don't think that's a problem. Or the libraries, those kinds of things you can certainly use. All right, and last but not least, I am currently a business analyst in STEM. How will this degree help further my career? Does the Pitt program or Pitt include support for career development and job search? Yeah. Again, the last part of this is what is the success rate of increased earnings of your promotions that have taken this degree? Our first graduating class will be this fall, so we don't have data on that yet. But in terms of how it would help further your career, again, if you're a business analyst, I might actually ask your employer if you want. Like one of the things is the whole idea is that you become a specialist. I feel like it's very much like the metaphor I had where it's like you're a driver, but then if you want to learn to drive an 18-wheeler or a big truck, that's a specific thing. It's kind of like that. If you want to really have expertise in data science, that's what this is for. Will it help you get a promotion in your current with your current employer? I don't know. Like that's where you want to talk to your employer and say, hey, here's the stuff I'm going to be learning. Is this of value to you? Is the master's going to help me in this area? But in terms of having that discussion about careers and eligibility, we have a career center on campus, and you are able to have virtual appointments online and to work with them and to look at career developments. And yes, you will have access to the database of employers that are looking for students at Pitt. If you can get to campus, there's a career fair every fall and every spring. You could go to that too. So you would have some career infrastructure like support and development as well. And I think with that, that's the last one. I'm 3 minutes over. You asked some great questions. Thank you so much for being part of this. One more thing I'll share here. If you do have more questions, since we used all the time, there is an initial enrollment counselor, India Vieira. There's a private booking link here in this QR code, and you can reach out for questions about starting in the PBA or financial aid or anything like that by going to online MDS support at pitt.edu. So that is a way to get in touch with us initially beyond today's info session. And then there's a lot of things, again, in this presentation, you'll see like we're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. And then here's the, I guess, both the school's website on MDS and Coursera's website on MDS. So you've got all of that. And with that, I think that's the end of our session. And I thank you all for joining me for this slightly longer than an hour. I wish you the best of luck as you explore and decide on what you want to do. And I'm excited that you're interested in this field because it's a pretty excellent field to get into. Thank you. It was nice talking with all of you. Good luck with everything. See you later.